He is the NBA center for the Celtics and has become a fan favorite in Boston. At 7'6", he's the tallest player in the NBA right now and third tallest of all time. He is Tacko Fall. And here are some amazing facts that you probably didn't know about him. Set multiple records at the draft combine. Since there was no draft combine when Yao Ming, George Muresan, and Manute Bol were getting to the NBA, and those are the only players at Tacko Fall's eye level, it's logical that Tacko broke some combine records. At 7 feet and 7 inches in shoes, he's closer to the sun than any other draftee in combine history. He also has the longest wingspan, measuring 8 feet and 2 inches, which is 4 inches longer than the previous record set by Mo Bamba in 2018. Tallest person and the longest wingspan combined for the longest standing reach, which is 10 feet and 2.5 inches in Tacko's case, and that enables him to grab the 10-foot rim with his fingers without jumping. His parents aren't tall. Unlike earlier mentioned Ndaye or George Muresan, who both had short parents but grew extremely tall because of pituitary gland disorder, Tacko suffered no such fate. They say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In the case of Tacko Fall, it fell a bit further in terms of height. His parents are of average height and so are his siblings. The only tall person in the family is his 6'8" uncle, so there is some kind of genetic lineage. Still, nobody expected him to be one of the 40 tallest humans on the planet. Illegally in the States and almost moved back to Senegal. Fall was granted a visa to stay in America, but that visa was only valid if he attended Christian Life Academy in Texas, because it was the only school he listed on the visa application. However, after a short while, Fall decided to move from that school due to stability issues and had searched to transfer to a different school. From the moment he signed out of Christian Life Academy, Tacko's stay in the United States became illegal, as his visa was no longer valid. For the same reason, all other schools rejected him when he tried to apply, as they didn't want to deal with an illegal immigrant. For a while, Tacko believed his American adventure is over before it really began. But then a couple named Mandy and Davis Wetstein took Tacko in and signed him up to Liberty Christian Preparatory School in Tavares, Florida. If they hadn't done that, Tacko would have to return to Senegal, and the basketball world would miss out on this amazing physical specimen. His personal trainer was Hakeem Olajuwon. When he first got to Houston and enrolled in a basketball camp, one of his first coaches was none other than Hakeem Olajuwon, the best African-born player ever and one of the best centers of all time. Hakeem taught him some post moves and footwork and inspired young Tacko to try to make it to the NBA and made him believe it was possible despite the late start. Tacko didn't start playing basketball until he moved to the United States at age 16. When you are over 7 feet tall, a natural human reaction is to ask how tall you really are and do you play basketball. I'm sure Tacko has answered this a million times, but he never actually played any basketball at his home country of Senegal. Only after the brother of Senegalese basketball player Mamadou Ndaye advised Tacko to take the same route, Fall started to consider basketball as a career choice. Following his advice, Tacko packed his suitcase with the little clothes he had and boarded his first ever flight. The destination was Houston, where he made his first basketball steps. After a few years, fate would have it that 7'5" Ndaye and Tacko play against each other during the 2015 NCAA season, and the clash of two young giants received national headlines. Fall scored in the 95th percentile on his SATs. When we first heard about the high school player who could dunk without jumping, two things stood out. First was obviously his height, and the second one was his glasses. Kareem lookalike on the court wasn't because of style or because his eyes were scratched. Tacko was simply short-sighted, and this is partly because he's a big bookworm. If he weren't in the NBA, there is no doubt he would be extremely successful academically. Fall came to the USA from Senegal at the age of 16 and didn't know almost any English. 8 months later, he was speaking like he was born and raised in the States, and just a few months later, he took his SATs and scored in the 95th percentile. If you don't think that's impressive, try going to another country, learn their language, and be in the top 5% in their school system within 2 years, and all of that while you're trying to make it as a basketball player. He wants to be an engineer when his basketball career ends. Tacko knew that he's in America because of his athletic ability and that basketball was his golden ticket in life. Still, he didn't want to rely strictly on basketball and very maturely realized that it may or may not happen, despite his size. So, Tacko applied himself academically, maybe even more so than on the court. He always had a passion for computers and technology and often daydreamed of becoming an engineer one day. It just happened that NBA career got in the way of his engineering dreams, which we can all agree is a pretty decent substitute gig. His mom saw him play after 7 years. Tacko and his family didn't have a lot of money, and when they sent him to America, he left with sandals on his feet and didn't even possess basketball shoes. Tacko's main goal with basketball was to support his family, and he did everything in his willpower to learn the sport and make a living. Since he came to America, he didn't have enough money for a return plane ticket to Senegal, so he just stayed in the States. The same was true for his parents, and his mother hadn't seen him in 7 years, from the time he left until his senior year at Florida. The first basketball game of her son she ever watched was in March of 2019, and inspired by his mom, Tacko was one of the best players in UCF history. He was the Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 2017. Without the defensive 3-second violation that is only applied in the NBA, it was much easier for Tacko to defend in college. He would primarily be deployed under the basket, where he used to terrorize opposing ball handlers with his 10-foot standing reach and 8-foot wingspan. After he blocked 2.6 shots per game and altered probably 3 times more, Tacko won the ACC Defensive Player of the Year award in 2017. You can't teach height, and scoring against such a mountain of a human was a tall task for most players going against him. Tacko reigned supreme in the paint, and opposing players had to think twice before stepping into the lane. Fall led UCF to their first ever NCAA tournament win. The University of Central Florida is not known for its great basketball program, and it only appeared in the March Madness 5 times in the entire school history. With Tacko at the helm, UCF Knights achieved a historic feat in 2019. After they qualified for the tournament for the first time since 2005, they finally notched their first victory, beating VCU in the first round. Tacko played an excellent game and led the Knights with 13 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 blocks. In the next game, they played against the favorite Duke and Zion Williamson in the most eagerly awaited matchup of the season. Tacko was excellent again with 15 points on 7 of 10 shooting, and for the most part, it looked like the Knights will produce the biggest upset of the season and kick Duke out of the tournament. However, in the last-second effort, Duke won the game at the buzzer.